Michael, we're here back in the Ledge Library, clearly all decked out for Christmas, kids thinking about that particular countdown, but there's a much more significant countdown going on here at Province House, and that is to a decision by the Minister of the Environment when it comes to Northern Pulp.
Environment Minister Gordon Wilson has until Tuesday. Tuesday will be the last day possible for him to release his decision on the company's focus report. He's either going to approve it, which would give the company a green light to start building a new effluent treatment plant, although it would also then need an extension to the Boat Harbor Act to be able to do that, or he's not going to approve it. Either way, there are going to be big ripples. If he does not approve it, there are significant effects staring the forestry industry in the face. Northern Pulp is the single largest player in that industry, and if the mill goes down, and the company has said without an extension to the Boat Harbor Act, it will, if the mill goes down, it is indisputable that the forestry industry will suffer. If he does allow it, there is going to be absolute certainty that there will be intense protest and criticism from members of the Pictou Landing First Nation, who will argue that the McNeil government broke a promise to them. And there will be intense criticism from the fishery industry, who are concerned about the potential implications of a pipe in the Northumberland Strait on their industry. Not to mention people who live in the area and are concerned about the pollution from the mill.
Right, but let's not kid ourselves. Every single Nova Scotia taxpayer has a stake in this because the company owes us $85.5 million in loans that were extended by the province. There's also this indemnity agreement that was signed by a previous Liberal government back in '95 that we've heard from an Osgoode Hall law professor this week tips the scales towards the company's favor and leaves Nova Scotians on the hook for defending that company if anyone decides to go after it as a result of the shutdown.
Yeah, and these aspects have been very much the behind the scenes part of this whole conversation. Ever since the Boat Harbor Act was passed 5 years ago, which if it is allowed to proceed as written, would see Boat Harbor closed at the end of January.
And no place for the company to put its effluent.
Right. The behind the scenes aspect of that conversation has been what will happen if the mill has to shut down? And that brings into question the indemnity agreement. That brings into question loans extended to the mill and its sister companies. And the government has been much less forthcoming with information about those what ifs. You can't blame them for that because there's a very real possibility these matters will end up in court. And the government certainly doesn't want to say anything in the public that could be used against them in court by the mill. At the same time, though, while we've always had a very clear view on the timeline for environmental assessment and public comment and all of that aspect of the conversation, we have much less clarity when it comes to the potential legal fallout from this decision.
Right, so we'll get a decision by Gordon Wilson between now and next Tuesday, and then what flows from that will become much clearer in the weeks, months, and years to come.